Please.
Yeah, a lot of ideas, and like, the markets are so different now, so what would work in pre-COVID.
That's the trouble with social media, you know?
To see what people are coming up with, and, yeah, definitely, you know, I don't know if you remember Nathan or no, Carmessi, but he's a ER doctor. You know, that's his full-time job.
Yeah.
Another, the woman who does the video, she's one executive.
Oh, Jenna, I think it's 5 o'clock. Should we get started?
We should.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a meeting of the Planning Commission on June 22, 2021. My name is Fred Van Antwerp, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Planning Commission. Our esteemed chair is not here today, so I'll be running the meeting with all of your cooperation and assistance. So with that, perhaps we can get started. Should we have a roll call, please?
We don't need to have a roll
We don't have
call.
a roll call. Okay, scrap that. First item, I guess, is, no, we don't have any minutes to go through. This is a special meeting of the Planning Commission.
Yeah, but
so-
communications from the public for items not on the agenda, we still should
Okay,
do.
so we still have that. So this is a section where the public can come to the podium and speak about anything that's not on the agenda. Is there anyone here that wishes to come forward and do that? Okay, that section is closed. Now we're on to new business or
Unfinished
old
business. Mhm.
Right. Do you want to start? You want to describe the action at this point?
Do I need to remove it from the table
Yeah,
first?
I was gonna say,
Yep, I move that we
That's a good
remove
point.
this item from the table. The 2-unit residence infill review for 431 Washington Avenue, I move we remove that from the
and I
table.
support that,
There's support?
And the PUD as well.
yes.
And I also move that we remove the PUD as well.
Support. Support for that?
Yes.
Okay. So, all those in favor, raise your hand. Say
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, raise your hand. No. Okay. Now, we can get started on these items. I guess this is a joint item of the...
So if you recall, there were 3 items. There was the rezoning to the PUD. There was still the infill review standard requirement, and then there's the actual PUD development approval. So then there are those 2 items that remain, the infill and the plan. And so each will need to be taken, a vote will need to be taken on each one separately. But it's up to you as to how you want to discuss and deliberate on each of them.
Okay.
But I will just give a very quick general overview, and then I'm going to turn it over to the applicant to describe the changes that they addressed, if that's
Okay.
all right with Planning Commission.
Okay.
Great. So staff recommends approving both the infill review as well as the PUD development plan with conditions. The resolution will be developed based on the site plan approval. That it's a smaller development. It doesn't necessarily need a full large document development plan, but we will provide something that will be able to work as that development plan agreement or resolution, I should say. The changes that were made were substantially to for the infill review, though they also then were made to the site plan itself, some minor changes, which again, I'll let the applicant discuss in a moment. Meanwhile, the infill review and the changes to the site plan were conducted by Mark Vanderploeg, who's unable to make it here today. And as Planning Commission could see from the infill review report, he is recommending approval and has stated that, in his opinion, it meets the standards of the infill review, section 39-198. So I also have asked Dan Tiley here, zoning administrator and building inspector, in case the Planning Commission has any questions about building material or design, et cetera, et cetera. And otherwise, at this point, unless Planning Commission has questions for me, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Okay. Any questions for Jenna? Okay. Is the applicant here?
Well, the representative of the
Or their
applicant.
representative? Would you state your name and address again, please?
All right. Good afternoon, Planning Commissioners. My name is Hari Khan. I live at 11931 Yonka Way in Holland, 49424. I'm here with Nick Rolinski from Broad Street Studio. We're both representing our applicant, Ms. Joni Gibson, the property owner of 431 Washington Avenue. Joni would like to express her regret for not being here tonight because she's not feeling too well, but we do have a statement that's prepared from Joni that we will now read to you to express her appreciation, and we will also address the changes essentially that were made in the design as well as the site plan. So first of all, the statement from Joni. So good evening. First, I'd like to thank the Planning Commission for the PUD rezoning approval on June 8th, 2021, which has allowed me and my team to move forward with this PUD and infill review application. Your warm response and careful deliberation are deeply appreciated. Over the last 2 weeks, my design team and I have had successful discussions with staff at the city. The 5 changes in particular that were addressed, first of all, as you've seen in the staff report, would be the reduced building footprint. We've made that a lot smaller in the sense that it now also is aligned with the neighbors. In terms of the front yard setback, it continues to be very respectful of the neighborhood. The second addition is that of a double-story front porch, which addresses West 18th Street, as well as a front door that's tucked by the side that continues to welcome the residents as well as any visitors, making sure that that is the primary front. Third, there has also been a modification to the roofing material, changing it from metal standing seam roof to essentially a shingle roof, but allowing us to retain the board and batten essentially on the gables, keeping the rest of it as clapboard siding. This essentially was intended to address staff's concerns about the horizontal emphasis in the neighborhood, and now by changing the roof to shingles, it has really toned down the vertical element, creating a really balanced composition overall while retaining the integrity of the gables and those very minimal vertical accents. The only part that has a standing seam roof that really is a canopy, which has now been added to a door on Washington Avenue, that also now serves as a visual cue to visitors as well as neighbors as the secondary entrance to this particular residence. The fourth change really was that of changing some of the casement windows along the hyphen along Washington Avenue as well as the east elevation. A total of 8 windows have been changed to double hung to be respectful of really the traditional window styles in this particular neighborhood. The rest of the windows have been kept as casement really for ADA and age-in-place reasons, largely because we need those to be lever-style windows and for those windows to be placed in areas that are really for living and habitation. The last one is that of increase in building height, addressing concerns from especially Planning Commissioner Dave DeBlock to increase this from 6 inches to 12 inches, which is now really much more in line with the rest of the residents along the street. And in this case, while also allowing the applicant to preserve her age-in-place intentions and the necessary grading for stormwater. So overall, speaking on behalf of Ms. Joni Gibson, we have addressed staff's comments, and we believe that the proposed project is compatible and in harmony with the neighborhood, and we believe that this will significantly enhance Washington Square by completing this missing corner. The proposal submitted for your review reflects a collaborative approach between the developer, between the design team, as well as the city staff, and we all agree that this is the best way forward. We have no further comments for you, and we defer to your deliberation tonight. And if there are any additional technical questions, Nick and myself will be happy to address them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Heidi. Any commissioners have any comments that they'd like to make or ask any questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I don't know much about this, but I was wondering about the spandrels, the windows that are facing Washington Boulevard. Oh, sorry, yes, sorry about that. When I was looking for examples of that, I found them mostly in apartment complexes. So I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the reasoning for that.
Yep, I'll let Nick address
Okay.
these from an architect
Thanks.
perspective. Yep.
Yeah, so the house that actually inspired those spandrel panels is 4 West 12th Street, which is right across the park from here. It's an 1894 Victorian residence with spandrel panels in between the windows on the first and second floor. They're not particularly common within Holland, but they are typically common within lots of American small-town urban fabric, and that particular house was one that we stumbled upon for a different project and liked, and so it inspired those spandrel panels. Another spandrel panel example that is quite lovely that you can see in the city is at the Bell Telephone Building. There's tile spandrels.
I actually did see some that had a design,
Yeah, so
mosaic kind of.
the idea behind the spandrel there is that it's a decoration of a special place, and that's why it's being used here at the square.
Okay.
I have a question if anybody else, are you also, I understand that you are in harmony now with the recommendations and the comments that the staff has made. Does that include the conditions of approval? Have you looked at those conditions, and the applicant is comfortable with meeting those conditions as well?
Yes, we have looked at all the conditions of approval, and the applicant, Ms. Joni Gibson, is comfortable with the conditions
Okay.
requested by staff.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open a public hearing and ask anyone in the audience either for or against this project to come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn it back to commissioners for their deliberation.
I just have a comment on the infill review process portion of this, and I want to thank staff for including all of section 39-198 in as part of their comment of gross design incompatibility that have the potential for enduring a century or more. It is not intended to stifle individuality or compel rigid conformity. Recognizing that great diversity of style, often between homes side by side, is one of Holland's central neighborhood strengths. This article is created and adopted with the intention that the acceptable level of compliance with these standards will be the minimum necessary to assure compatibility. This section's enforcement is premised upon achieving compatibility, not conformity. And when I look at this design, it definitely does not conform exactly to what's to the homes that are side by side, but I do believe that it is compatible with what's there, especially the fact that it is so close to a neighborhood commercial district. I think it's a nice buffer between those. And as I read through this again and looked at the design and the design changes that the applicant has made with this, I'm inclined to vote for the applicant on this.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any comments? I would like to echo what Mayor Box has said about this. I was quite impressed by this section. It's really the cornerstone of our infill review process. It's the principles upon which we are supposed to look at in all infill projects like this, and I think it's really well written. I actually have never seen it before. It jumped right out at me when I saw it, and I was really impressed by how clear it is and what the meaning is, and so I think it's a wonderful way forward as well. I think we are going to get involved more with infill review as we go forward, and that's why it's come to us today. Mark has spoken that he wishes that we would be more involved with infill review, and I think in the Udo, there is a bigger role for the planning commission to do that. Is that right, Jenna?
It's pretty much the same as
Is it?
what we're doing now.
Okay, because we really didn't get very many infill reviews to consider. Partly this because there hasn't been that many infill, but also since I've been here for the past 3 years, I can only think of one other time that we've been asked to help review, and that was, or we didn't get asked, it was the property, I can't remember the address, but it was on Central Avenue and
317 Central.
317 Central.
And so the administratively is generally how infill reviews are done.
Mhm.
In that instance, it was because it was appealed to the planning commission,
Yeah.
so that's why you reviewed it. With the Udo, where the intent is to keep it largely administrative, except that if a project such as this one was already coming to planning commission, instead of having the administrative review and the planning commission review, the Udo is combining the two and letting the planning commission do it all.
Okay. Well, thank you for that clarification. And with that, if there are no further comments,
Well,
did you?
I would affirm what we've heard so far and also then move to approve the infill review and approve the PUD development plan and resolution with conditions.
They need to be done separately, please.
Fine.
Would you
first
wish to
half.
restate the first
Sure,
one there?
the first half.
Mhm.
Recommend approve the infill review.
Support.
Support. Okay, can we have a vote, Mallory?
Yes, of course. So the motion is to approve the infill review. DeBlock,
Yes?
Owens,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Lozano's not here. Box,
Yes.
Van Antwerp.
Yes.
All right, motion to approve passes.
I would also move then to approve the PUD development plan and resolution with conditions.
Is there a second?
Support.
Support, okay. Mallory?
The motion is to approve the PUD development plan. DeBlock,
Yes?
Owens,
Yes.
Box,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Van Antwerp,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Motion to approve passes.
Okay, thank you. So that item is finished, and the next item on our agenda is recommending approval of amendments to city council. This is about the transportation section. Jenna, would you wish to open this up for us?
Yes, I would. So this has been edited now to only include the items that currently exist within the Code of Ordinances, which is illustrated here in the staff report, specifically where it's currently located and then where it's proposed to go in Udo. Again, that's all in Article 10. So if you don't mind, I will go through them quickly. The first one is to add encroachments of structures or landscaping. There will also be additional information on this in the right-of-way section, which will be if Udo is approved, in Chapter 22 of the Code of Ordinances, 2222, as it were. Suspending objects over the public right-of-way. Just adding that language into there, specifying for right-of-way permits exactly when they're required. And again, you can see there's that reference to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, where additional information will be provided, such as how to apply for a right-of-way permit, and insurance required, and things of that sort, which is really an ordinance that's maintained by Brian White and his department over at Transportation Services. This is just the most substantial part of the edits of the amendments proposed here, is that is to be specific about how someone can obtain a sidewalk waiver, both within a residential development, 1 to 4 units, or a larger multifamily, industrial or commercial unit, or mixed use, how they go about that, the actual criteria for said waiver. Whereas before it was summarized in UDO in the existing Code of Ordinances in Chapter 32, all of this detail is provided, and it was determined that should be, again, added to the UDO. Also, sidewalk hazards. This is also something that is further discussed in Chapter 22 of the Code of Ordinances, or what will be as long as UDO is approved. So just adding that information into UDO so that because it's relevant. Driveway flares, looking back at this, it was pointed out that it was 3 feet in width for residentially used properties, but actually 5 feet for non-residentially used. So that's changed there. And lastly, it had been just copied and pasted for the right-of-way permit requirement, but we changed that just to be clear that it's for the actual driveways, which again is also located in the current Code of Ordinances. So the motion that we're recommending is to approve recommendation of approval of this document, of these amendments, I apologize, into UDO to City Council. And then it'll be updated, if you approve, it'll be updated by McKenna Associates, and then updated on our website, and will be then the final package, UDO package, that's before City Council for adoption.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Jenna?
I just want to clarify so for everyone at home who's watching, and for council members who are going to see this at a study session, and anybody who else may ask, there isn't anything new here that isn't already somewhere else in the city's Code of Ordinances. We're just moving some things around for clarity and ease of use. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, that's all I need to know.
I have a question, Jenna. This is something that it strikes me as odd, but it exists already. But still, I just simply don't understand it, so I'll ask you while I can. It says under the sidewalk waiver, the sidewalk requirements shall only be waived by the approving authority and the city engineer. Who is the approving authority?
Yeah, so in Article 12 of the UDO, there's charts as to what
I see.
projects have which approving authorities. So
Okay, so that's what
approving
you're referring to.
authorities include the Planning Commission, the administrative review team,
Okay.
the zoning administrator, et cetera. So
Okay.
that's illustrated there.
And I think we also expect staff to come back at some future point with some additional material for the transportation section that the Planning Commission can have a go at.
So that would be after City Council adopts the Unified Development Ordinance.
Right.
Staff will come back with not only this article, but with some other amendments that have come up along the way as well, for Planning Commission to recommend approval to
Okay.
City Council.
And I think the material we looked at the last time, I thought it was really well done, and I think the Planning Commission should look forward to seeing that again, because we did a lot of work on that. It was also good agreement with the engineering section, and so it was pretty much teed up and ready to go. So we hope to get another go at that in the future. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think we have to have a public hearing about this. Is that right? So I'll open the public hearing for anyone to come forward, speak for or against this. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And I'm interested in entertaining a motion about recommending this to City Council's approval.
I move we recommend these proposed amendments to City Council for approval.
Support.
For it. I think we can just say, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion has been approved. That ends the substantive part of our special meeting today. Do you think that we should go through the other items?
We should go through them just so that they're
Okay.
on the agenda.
So scheduling of public hearings. When is the next public hearing? Does anybody know?
The next one is on July 13th, but we don't need to schedule it.
Okay.
It's already scheduled.
Communications from commission members.
Thanks, Fred, for all your work.
Oh, yes, is there cake again?
I'm so happy to, this is it. One more thing. Communications from staff.
Thank you so much, Fred, for all of your work and for preparing for this meeting very well and for doing a great job.
Okay, thank you.
And also Fred, if anybody is going to miss their portion of Fred, he can be seen at the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is the fourth Thursday of the month.
Yes, it's coming in 2 days. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.